On January 7, 2020, Rockmart, Georgia, a small town tucked away just west of Atlanta where the houses line up close to the railroad tracks, and where, on that ordinary winter afternoon, something would unfold that no one could have expected.
911. Come here.
Officer Andy Anderson, a 16-year veteran of the Polk County Police Department, had been responding to what was supposed to be just another burglary call, a report of someone breaking into a home on College Street right near the tracks. And as he arrived at the scene, he saw a young man, just 18 years old, later identified as Jaden Moats, walking away from the residence, arms full, carrying what looked like a television. It didn't take long for the situation to escalate. Moats made a run for it, and Anderson followed. What happened next would all be captured by Anderson's 360-degree body camera, but no amount of footage could truly capture the weight of what was about to happen.
Get right working out towards Piedmont at the railroad tracks.
The chase led them both onto the railroad tracks, that familiar, forgotten space that cuts behind backyards and crumbles into gravel, a shortcut for some, a death trap for others. And as Officer Anderson pursued the suspect, you can almost feel what was going through his mind. He was locked in, completely focused. All his training, all his instinct, all his attention was zeroed in on catching Moats. But that focus came at a cost, because while his eyes were on the suspect, he never saw the train coming. The Norfolk Southern freight train, hundreds of tons of steel moving at full speed, its horn blaring into the cold air. But in the chaos, the noise, the tunnel vision, Andy never heard it. And in a matter of seconds, he was hit. The impact sent him flying off the tracks, crashing into the nearby brush. His body camera, still rolling, recorded the sickening silence afterward, then his voice, groaning, calling out for help. Over and over. When emergency crews arrived, they found him in the bushes, barely conscious. He had suffered a concussion, 6 broken ribs, a shattered elbow, and a fractured shoulder. He was rushed to the hospital and underwent surgery, staying until January 12th before finally being released to recover at home. As for Jaden Moats, he managed to get away that day, but not for long. He was arrested just a few days later, on January 13th. And somehow, against all odds, Officer Anderson made a full recovery, eventually returning to active duty. But what happened that day shows how quickly focus can become blindness, how a single moment of adrenaline, of tunnel vision, can leave you completely unaware of the danger bearing down on you. He didn't hear it, he didn't see it, he just ran until the train met him. And the only thing left in that cold, still air was the sound of a groan. Since 1964, tucked just north of the Nevada desert, the Reno Air Races, officially called the National Championship Air Races, had become a kind of American tradition, a place where speed met spectacle, where machines from World War II danced through the sky just feet above the earth, and where each year thousands gathered to witness the thrill of pilots pushing their limits. But in 2011, something would happen that no one saw coming. It was September 16th, a Friday, just after 4:15 p.m., and the air above Reno-Stead Airport buzzed with the roar of finely tuned engines. In the heart of the action was a sleek, silver warbird, a heavily modified P-51D Mustang known as the Galloping Ghost, flown by veteran air racer Jimmy Leeward, a 74-year-old pilot with decades of experience behind him. At that moment, the Galloping Ghost was tearing through the course at over 500 miles per hour, chasing down the leaders, Voodoo and Strega, in what should have been the defining stretch of the race, and from the ground, everything looked perfect. The aircraft streaked low, powerful, graceful, controlled, until it wasn't.
Talk about hauling ass, man. Oh, it doesn't even sound. Those first couple, you can really tell they're moving. Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah. We're in that. Around the valley. He's talking on the radio. So I went over yesterday to talk to him. He was right there. Oh my God! Oh my God! We gotta get out of here. Get out of here. Let's go out. Oh my God.
The plane violently pitched upward, rolled, and then nosedived directly into the tarmac, crashing just in front of the grandstands. There was no explosion, no dramatic plume of fire, just metal, folding, shattering, vanishing, as thousands watched in stunned silence. The impact was so severe, Jimmy Leeward was killed instantly. So were 10 people on the ground, with 69 others injured, many of them in critical condition. Shattered aluminum, blood, screams, silence. And as the dust settled, it became the third deadliest airshow disaster in U.S. history, following the accidents in 1972 and 1951. In the months that followed, the National Transportation Safety Board launched a full-scale investigation, trying to understand how a plane flown by such an experienced pilot could have just dropped from the sky, with no warning. And what they discovered was terrifying. The plane, although beautiful and fast, had undergone major untested modifications. The elevator trim tab system, a critical part of the aircraft's pitch control, had deteriorated over time, specifically the lock nut inserts, which had loosened over repeated stress. That looseness caused vibration, known as aerodynamic flutter, something that, at racing speeds, becomes lethal. The flutter grew worse over time, until, during that final race, it caused a failure in the left trim tab link assembly, a tiny component with massive consequences. And when it failed, the aircraft became uncontrollable. Even worse, those very modifications that made the Galloping Ghost competitive had increased the aircraft's sensitivity in pitch control, reduced its stability, and doubled the stress on the already compromised part. It was, in every sense, a ticking time bomb. No one ever plans for disaster in a place built for thrill. But that day, the crowd didn't cheer. They ran. And when the dust cleared at that hot Nevada airfield, all you could hear were the sounds left behind. Cheers that became screams, sadness that would not go away, and the clear feeling that this was no simple accident. It was a sad event that could have been avoided. People made mistakes, machines got worn out, and no one realized the risk of going too far without knowing what might happen. It was December 19th, 2024, a regular winter afternoon in Blacksburg, Virginia. For Andy Earthman, it was just another shift behind the wheel. A longtime Uber driver nearing 60 years old, he'd spent most of his life on the road. As always, he was polite with his passenger, making small talk while navigating the late afternoon congestion.
I mean, I've bought cars that were 10 years old with 150,000 miles on them before. I bought a 10-year-old Honda with 150,000 miles. I bought it cheap. I drove it for 5 years just to go back to work.
Yeah.
Just to go back to, because it was good. It was a little Civic. It got really good gas mileage.
Yeah.
And I used it just to go back and forth to work. My wife and I, we carpooled.
Yeah.
So we just back and forth. After 5 years, I got rid of it. I sold it for what I paid for it.
Everything felt normal, nothing strange, until it suddenly wasn't. Sharing that same stretch of road, unknown to Andy, was Martin McGraw, a much younger man watching from behind the wheel of his own vehicle. In a split-second moment, one that happens 1,000 times a day on roads across America, Andy made a left turn, moving into traffic at 40 miles per hour, just trying to stay ahead of the line of cars. But McGraw, whether irritated or unstable, took it personally. He believed he'd been cut off, and that was all it took.
There you are, my friend.
Thank you.
Congratulations again to you.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Head to your pickup on Snyder Lane. Turn left to stay on Cardinal Court, then turn right on Tall Oaks Drive.
Huh? Whoa! I'm gonna call the police right now, man. I'm gonna call the police right now. You damaged my car, I will sue you. You damaged my car. You damaged my car? Back off me. Back off. Oh my God!
Moments later, as Andy slowed to let his passenger out, McGraw pulled up beside him, got out of his vehicle, and charged, slamming into Andy's car, physically blocking the door from closing, and then, with rage boiling over, grabbing Andy and trying to rip him out of the driver's seat right there in the middle of traffic. A man nearly twice McGraw's age was suddenly caught in a terrifying scene. But Andy, shaken yet thinking fast, managed to break free, slam the door shut, and drive off as McGraw continued to pursue him, trying again and again to confront him further down the road.
Good luck to you, man. Did you witness that? That man just attacked me. He punched me in the face. You just assaulted me, man. That's assault and battery. No, you didn't, man. What you did is you punched me in the face. You punched me in the face. Do you see this dash cam in my car? Do you see this dash cam in my car? Do you see the dash cam in my car? Good luck, man.
Andy didn't engage or fight back. Instead, he went straight to the police. By January 10th, 2025, Martin McGraw was arrested on charges of assault and battery, with a court date set. But what came next was even more disturbing. McGraw filed his own complaint, accusing Andy of threatening him, claiming property damage, and alleging that Andy's driving had provoked him, even going as far as to say his glasses were broken in the incident. He admitted to slapping Andy's car and even punching him, but twisted the story to make himself the victim. The legal battle dragged on for months, and while it played out, Andy's life, though he had done nothing wrong, was put on pause, as Uber, pending the charges, temporarily suspended his account, putting his income, stability, and future in jeopardy. He was forced to hire an attorney, fight both criminal and civil claims, and sit in courtrooms defending himself, all because one stranger couldn't control his temper. By May 8th, 2025, justice finally caught up. The judge saw the truth. Andy Earthman was found not guilty, and all charges were dismissed. McGraw, on the other hand, was convicted, ordered to complete anger management classes, and placed on 12 months of probation. But even with the verdict in his favor, Andy had already paid the price, losing valuable income, facing public scrutiny, and living with the knowledge that something so minor, something as simple as a turn in traffic, could have escalated into violence so fast and so completely without warning. Honestly, sometimes all it takes is one bad encounter for everything to spiral, and if Andy hadn't stayed calm, this story could have ended very differently. On January 31st, 2020, a cold winter morning in St. Petersburg, Russia, what should have been just another step in an old building's farewell turned into something far more horrifying. The St. Petersburg Sports and Concert Complex, known as the SKK Peterburgsky, a symbol of Soviet engineering completed in 1979 with its massive 193-meter diameter, 40-meter height, and capacity for 25,000 spectators, had been closed in August 2019. Its fate sealed to make way for a new venue for the 2023 Ice Hockey World Championship. And the plan was simple: demolish the old and make way for the future. But on that day, inside the arena's shell, during the final phases of dismantling, a group of workers, including 29-year-old Matvey Kucherov, had been assigned to help with the roof demolition where this happened. A massive crane pulled and cut at the steel. Cables were sheared and supports dropped piece by piece while Matvey was still inside trying to reach the safety cage, but he never made it. Without warning and without the proper precautions in place, the roof gave way. A thunderous collapse of steel and concrete, and in mere seconds, everything fell. Reports later confirmed that the crane operator had no idea the workers were still beneath the structure. There were no safety lines, no harnesses, no protocols, just a group of underpaid men told to dismantle a giant with their lives on the line. Later investigations revealed that the collapse likely came from a sudden loss of balance in the cable system, possibly triggered by an ill-timed cut or a decision to drop the roof too soon. And even more damning, workers claimed they were being paid just 8,000 rubles a day, but told to violate safety protocols, ignore basic procedures, and do what they were told. One of them paid with his life. Matvey's body was found hours later in the rubble. He never had a chance. At first, there were no criminal charges, but public outcry forced a deeper look, and eventually 3 people were charged: 2 foremen and a contractor's executive, each receiving a 2-year suspended sentence with 2 years probation. And as part of the ruling, each man was ordered to pay 2.7 million rubles in compensation to Matvey's parents and sister. That was the justice: a fine, no prison, just a number on paper for a young life lost in concrete dust. Honestly, the negligence, the shortcuts, the cost-cutting that ends up taking away people like Matvey. Because when safety is seen as an inconvenience, somebody always ends up buried beneath it.